Hello to all the participants of the Oslo Innovation Week. I'm Aino Olaisen, and I'm going to talk to you about value-based ownership. But first, I would like to say some words about us. I'm representing a company called Olaisen AS, and we are owners of the NovaSea company. That's a salmon farming company at the Helgeland coast. We have salmon installations all along this regional coastline, where we are producing around 50,000 tons of salmon every year. We are the 6th biggest producer of salmon in Norway, and we had a turnover in 2019 over 3.5 billion NOK. We are a very important employer in these rural areas of Norway, and which of course gives us a lot of responsibility, not only for the company per se, but also for the local communities where we have our operations. Also, the aquaculture sector is pointed at to be one of those sectors that will take over the Norwegian economy after the oil, and this is also a big responsibility for us, and it also represents a big change in our sector. So the future is very interesting, and I'm sure it won't be boring. The ownership is that Steinar Olaisen have is also more than NovaSea. We are involving ourselves with new aquaculture species. We also are working with green energy, batteries, for instance, and we are also involved in Catapult Ocean, which is a startup fund for startup companies with focus on the sea. We also are always occupied working on projects that can improve our local
In 1888, a man picked up the newspaper, opened it, and read that he was dead. The man was Dr. Alfred Nobel. It was a journalistic era. The newspaper had mixed up Alfred and the death of his brother Ludwig Nobel. The title of the obituary was The Merchant of Death, describing him as a man who became rich by finding ways to kill more people faster than ever before. Nobel was stunned by what he read and decided to do something about his legacy. Therefore, it said, before he died 8 years later, Nobel signed his testament, established the 5 Nobel Prizes, which goes to those who confer the greatest benefit on mankind, showing us that it is never too late to secure our legacy. As a business owner, we have the opportunity to do exactly that, to not only secure our legacy, but a legacy of the world. How we govern our ownership does matter. There is no doubt a new climate-driven market reality will demand a dynamic shift in our business mindset. We all have to be moving away from the ambition of being best in the world to being best for the world. This is my daughter Hannah at the beach collecting plastics from the oceans. But who put it there? And whose responsibility is it to clean? Speaking on behalf of future leaders and my children, I will start with today's most important point. Don't wait for us. As we all know, time is limited. And if today's leaders fail, if you and you and you fail, if I fail, there might be little future left for future leaders to save. Albert Einstein said, we can't solve problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. We do not only need diversity of people, but diversity of thought. I believe in willingness to be open-minded about the value of differences in the workplace, in the companies, in the boardrooms. Embrace differences in age, culture, gender, competence, and mindset. Look at challenges from all angles. The results are often innovative, and that is what we need to adapt.
Hello, I'm Tharald Nustad. I'm going to talk about investing for a positive future. I come from a real estate family. My grandfather built a real estate company by providing housing for the people that didn't have a place to live after the war, and built a pretty big real estate company from that. My family took over part of that company that spun out into Malin. That's then my mom took over and built a real estate. Dette ikke bra. Det vanskelig. Jeg har ikke, altså, jeg tror det kommer med en bedre etter hvert.
Ellers kan jeg ta den som en samtale til seg.
Ja, jeg prøver. Bare sånn der, akkurat den starten har jeg ikke snakket om. Det sånn. Ja. Hello, I'm Tharald Nustad. I'm going to talk about investing for a positive future. So I come from a real estate family. My grandfather built a real estate company after the war in Norway by providing houses to the people that didn't have any place to live. And later, hello, I'm Tharald Nustad. I'm going to talk about investing for a positive future. I come from a real estate family. My grandfather built a real estate company after the war by providing housing to people that didn't have a place to live, and later built a pretty big real estate operation. My mom took over part of the company that renamed into Malin in 1982, and she continued with real estate development and also established an arm for clean tech venture, investing in environmental solutions. Part of her thinking was that she wanted to make business by solving problems in the world. Personally, I studied physics, and after that I started being a tech entrepreneur in 2002. I've been part of starting 10 companies in technology and communication. Here's my journey into impact investing. I was at the board of Malin, our family company, and was exposed to a lot of clean tech investing. We have a family foundation that I was also engaged with, that work a lot with the developing countries and empowering them to give them a voice. In 2010, I started working with Ashoka. Ashoka is the world's largest social entrepreneurship organization. I work with 4,000 social entrepreneurs around the world. So I started engaging more and more in solving problems with entrepreneurship. Then the biggest change came in 2014-15 when I joined Tonic and Nexus, that both work on impact investing, and started also investing in more startup solving problems as a purpose for being. Then I started more and more investing in 2015. I also joined Tonic 100% Network, which is a network where I committed to investing all my capital and all my work into making a better future. So after that, I also built Nordic Impact as my investment organization for impact investing. And then in 2016, we started Catapult as an entity to both invest in impact tech startups and mobilize people into impact investing and sustainable solutions. So a bit about Nordic Impact. As I said, this is my investment organization. We do investments directly and indirectly through funds into startups solving problems. Catapult started in 2016. So bits about what I believe for the future is there's two waves of disruption hitting us at the same time now. You have digitalization and you have technology. Digitalization, technology, and you have impact and purpose coming at the same time. So our goals is making impact investing mainstream, solving the sustainable development goals, and delivering outsized financial returns, in addition to creating a thriving world for everyone. How do we do this? We invest in impact tech startups and funds. We start new businesses with the purpose to improve the world and make money from that. We support projects to generate positive impact and mobilize around this. We work with organizations that further our goals. We do this all by investing our own capital and also investing external capital through funds. It's about the definition of impact investing. Impact investing are investments made into companies and organizations and funds to generate social and environmental returns alongside a financial return. And there's three more key items into impact investing, and that is being intentional, being measurable, and being additional. So we also do quite a lot of field building in Catapult. We started the Catapult Foundation this year that works with non-profit initiatives to build a better ecosystem for impact investing. So we work with Nexus and Tonic, Ashoka, and quite a few other organizations to get more people into the space and to learn about how you invest for a positive future. So key to what I believe is important for the future, both in the sense of doing positive change, but also for making good business, is that solving big problems in the world is going to be the biggest business opportunities we have. I also believe that positive purpose will attract the smartest heads and motivate them to deliver more and better. And having a clear value foundation will provide risk mitigation. Positive purpose leads to better image and position, attracting more customers and partners. And always focusing on solving problems, providing value for a user or the world is the best way to build long-term profitable businesses. In the future, that's ever-accelerating change. This is the only way to have a competitive business. And last but not least, solving problems and providing value to society will make you more thrive and be more happy. So I believe that the only way to make a good business that have good profits is to solve problems in the world. Another key belief in what we do is that everything is changing faster and faster and faster. This is a graph of the exponential change compared to the linear change. And there's lots of change technologies these days that make it so that business as we know it in the world is going to change. And you need to understand these technologies and changes to be part of the future. Another thing is that next generation of people want to have a job with a purpose. There's a lot of statistics that says more than 50% of the people think it's important to do something that's positive in the world, and they will be attracted to jobs so they do that in their work. And this is view of what we focus on when we invest. We focus first on the impact, what problem are we solving. Then we of course need a kick-ass team. It's always the most important thing after you have a purpose. And you have to be good at technology to scale it and solve problems, and you need to be really good at making a business and making a profit. So at Catapult, we invest in for-profit solutions to our global challenges. And our goal is to make a world where everyone thrives. We have Catapult is split up into the Catapult Group, which does commercial investments in sustainable solutions and impact. And we have the Catapult Foundation that does non-profit work of mobilizing and teaching people, educating, and getting more people into the field of investing for positive change. The Catapult Group is so far consisting of the Catapult Accelerators, Impact Tech Startup Accelerator that mobilizes startups from all over the world, invest in them, and helps them get more traction and better business and more impact. We have the Catapult Invest, which is our investment arm, investing in startups and funds. We have the Catapult Ocean, which is a sector-focused investment fund and accelerator working on solving the problems in the ocean and making good business from everything ocean-related. And Catapult Food, we are currently building in London that will focus on the food sector and solving problems and generating good money in technology disruption in the food system. Yeah, Catapult Invest, as I said, we have a portfolio. We have everything in the different sectors from health, communication, education, mobility, sustainability. And we have some funds that we invest in. We have about 140 direct investments and 5 impact tech funds we have invested in. Catapult Future Fest is event festival that we used to have once a year in May here in Oslo before COVID-19 hits. Now it's all digital, so we gather people from all over the world together and then we talk about technologies that can solve problems, how to invest in the good solutions, and also how to make a thriving future society. A few pictures. It's quite a good experience. We also focus on having fun while we save the world, so we really want to have an engaging experience where you not only do good stuff, but you also enjoy it. A few more pictures. Catapult Accelerator, as I said, we invest in startups, usually 12 startups once a year. We gather from all over the world. We have invested in, I think, 35 countries so far. And yeah, they solve everything from education, health, environment, financial inclusion, and everything else that's positive for the world. Catapult Ocean is our ocean-focused entity. We have an accelerator program and a fund that then invests both in the startups that join the accelerator and also in later stage following up those. We have a focus on the main themes of agriculture, food, electrifying shipping or the transport sector more sustainable. We have energy generation and ocean health, cleanup of plastics and like, and we have the last focuses on what we call new frontiers, where you use data and other new things to make a better ocean. Catapult Food is, as I said, building in London to focus, like we do in the ocean, on the food sector, on both the production, the supply chain and distribution, and the consumption of food to make it be more sustainable and more positive for the people, at the same time as making money from the businesses built around that. So that's what we do at Catapult, and for me, is my main purpose in life so far is to build this future world for a better place, and investing, I think, is one of the best mechanisms for doing that.
So Tharald, welcome on board the Trill ship.
Thank you.
Where you have been before.
Been there a few times. Very nice place.
And I wonder, after hearing your presentation today, what is it really that drove you to become really an entrepreneur, investing in other entrepreneurs, instead of like following the path of your family and joining the more traditional family business?
I think it's been a lot of things, but I think first of all, my grandfather was an entrepreneur. He built and invented and solved problems. Is the main thing. So he really was quite inventive and really wanted to solve problems. But I've been an entrepreneur since I finished studies, and first of all, I like solving problems. I like building things, which I think is important. At the same time, the whole journey into investing in sustainable solutions and really focusing on impact and positive things has been a journey from I was young, where I didn't until 2010 started working in social entrepreneurship. I really didn't care very much. And then I just saw that, hey, this is super cool. I can use my tech and business skills to help people do more positive things. That's super cool. So then from that on, meeting a lot of smart people and really learning about, how can you do more positive change and make business from that. I really, this is what I'm going to do. It's such an obvious thing. So I think for me, it was never a thing where I felt I really had to just do what my parents had done, or like to keep the kind of family business going. I saw it more as a thing that I can actually utilize to do more positive change.
Mm. And it's interesting because you said that your grandfather, he started building the family company after the war. And my grandfather also started building companies after they were just slightly smaller. But so we both come from the real estate part and both ended up in ocean and innovation. And what do you see as kind of the key driver for you to focus also so much, in between a range of different industries that Catapult is touching? What is it with the ocean that has made you put so much initiative and so much focus on it through the Catapult Ocean setup?
I think it's both. I grew up by the ocean we had a family place south in Norway. So every summer I was 2 months by the ocean. I really loved the ocean and being on the ocean. And, everything from fishing to swimming, driving a boat. So it's always been part of my life. And then I think lately it's also the importance of the ocean and how much potential there is in the ocean. It's actually like generating, food and new solutions. So there's a kind of preventing negatives and making it not go bad, but there's also an opportunity to build a lot of good stuff from the ocean. And I think at the same time, real estate connection, I don't know if I see that, but I do think there's something that we both have in common. That's the kind of thinking of place building and actually creating ecosystems around a physical thing. And that's also something that I see that the ocean can create engagement. We need to give more people be engaged in it and create better solutions. And not only as a stop the plastics, but also how can you actually build more thriving, positive solutions for humanity through the ocean.
Mm-hmm. But it's interesting though, because why not just, sit passive, put the money in a fund or in a bank, let the money work for you and just chill out?
Well, as I said, I like building and creating stuff, number one. I also think that we have a world there's a lot of problems in, and I would like to be part of making a good world for me and my children in the future, of course, everybody else. So I think it's more engaging, but I've also learned to think much more strategic about how do you actually create a big change, because I've been part of a lot of things that does positive impact and make some good change, but to really be strategic in what can actually end up making a positive world where you affect the whole world. It's really what I've learned throughout the last, I would say, 5 years. And for me, it's just obvious that we, as especially having more muscles and wealth than most other people, have a responsibility to actually do something positive with that and really use our muscle to create positive change. Mm. And also, as I said in the presentation, I believe that this in this world, in this future, if you don't solve a problem with your business, you won't have a business. You'll be dead in 10, 20 years.
Couldn't agree more. And to the next generation are now going to build stuff with us, hopefully. What is your key message to other young owners of family businesses?
I would say, first of all, trying to find a purpose and figure out what you are engaged in. I would say connect with other people that are in the space of sustainability and solving problems. At the same time, I believe the combination of sustainability, impact, and technology disruption, innovation, entrepreneurship, you need all those things together. So just meet other people, connect, learn, and maybe do something with them after a while. But I think part of the thing is just seeing what other people do and learning from them. So kind of go outside your regular circles to meet people doing stuff.
Thank you, Tharald. Now we look forward to the next sequence of our program where we will meet the entrepreneurs of today.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. For close to 25 years, I was a senior partner with McKinsey & Company, serving the very large institutions in the world. But a few years back, I started to see a significant change in the world. I started to see that more of the positive innovation and change was not anymore happening within these large institutions, but increasingly was happening in the innovation ecosystem outside of these massive organizations. I also started to see if you wanted to take part in this change, you had to follow the best talent that moved into startups and technology companies. Capital that increasingly moved into green opportunities, innovation opportunities, away from the large companies. And for me, it had always been more important to be on the right side of change and drive that. So I left McKinsey and started my own company supporting technology startups with strong social impact and bridging between these companies and public policymakers and large corporate institutions and their CEOs and owners. Part of the background was that in McKinsey, I was co-leading some work we did on the impact of this massive technology change that some people call the fourth industrial revolution. And we, in this book, Resource Revolution, started to look at all the waste of resources that are inherent in any industry currently. And we looked at mobility. And we looked at the fact that these cars are just hanging around. They're not being used, only 2.6% of the time they're being used. And when they're driving, there's 1.2 person on average in the car. It's a massive, massive loss. And the energy consumption based on fossil fuel is the most inefficient process you could ever dream about, where hardly 5% of the original energy is maintained to actually drive the car forward. So what is happening? And then these cars are driving around and killing people. So was this the best thing we could come up with? Clearly not. We have to come together to do better. And as we have seen, a lot of the drive behind this didn't come from the large automotive companies. It came from a crazy South African guy, on the west coast of the United States. And it's going to repeat itself in industry after industry. So be careful as an investor, Don't repeat your investment pattern, your historic pattern. It's only going to drive you into stranded assets. You want to buy a shopping mall? You can buy it for $1 today if you take the debt. What are we going to do with the 36,000 gas stations with Couche-Tard, Circle K, We're still pouring concrete and steel to create roads when actually we could actually do much better with people working from home, with different types of mobility solutions, with data and sensors and optimization. But none of that goes into our national transport plan in Norway. It's just kind of repeating old mistakes. And we thought that Seadrill, was a safe investment because it's concrete and steel. It went bankrupt, was refinanced, they're going bankrupt again. So when are we going to wake up? This is why I took it basically on me to stand up in Norway, and start to defend basically the venture economy, startups, within many industry verticals, including health, which is a big opportunity here. Massive, massive number of fantastic scientists that can create globally leading companies and have strong social impact. And so what I did with a group of founders a few years back was to basically go out and, tell the politicians and the society that, we need to create new companies in Norway. We need to do 10 times better. And I started to work across all of these areas to create corporate venture capital, to work with the family offices, to get new funds started, to get the public money into this, attract international venture capital and so forth. And today, the venture economy in Norway is 10 times bigger in capital, talent size than only 5 years ago. But we still have a long way to go. Remember, in the oil and gas industry, yearly capex in Norway has been 200 billion kroners. And there's never been more than 2 billion kroners going into this part of the economy. So less than 1%. That will not be the case in the future. It needs to change massively. So when I talk to international investors about these opportunities in Norway, we have developed a pretty thorough point of view on where are the capability areas in Norway where we can play in the top tier globally. Verified by the fact that we have created fantastic companies, and of course we have created a large number of unicorns, only that we have built them on the stock exchange as opposed to in private VC ownership. And you can see many of them on this list. And people in these companies have then basically spun out new and fantastic startup companies, and we typically engage with those to create the next generation of social impact winners out of the Nordics. We look for these type of criteria. First-rate talent, you find a lot of them here, but we also find international talent wanting to come to Norway. Global benchmark, documented publications, IP, education needs to be world-class, because we're investing into Champion League companies. They need to be collaborative so that they can work with other people, take input, work with us, so we can play a role. And we always ask, why are you starting here in a world of, so many countries and opportunities? Why is this thing starting here? And often, as we saw on the previous page, there's a good reason for that. And we do look for impact, social impact, new, better, cheaper, worthy needs to support. With companies that can be real companies, and have a strategy globally for how to assemble and use data, own data, public data, which is always a key part of a business model today. And timing, why now? Why would it be too late to wait 2 years to start this company? And why would it basically have been too early to start 2 years ago? Why is this the right timing? Timing is essential. Google was not the first search engine. Some people told me there were 18 search engines before Google. And Facebook was not the first social network. There were probably 30 before Facebook. But timing is essential. And we like platforms. So not singular bets on a molecule that will work or not work, but much more solid business propositions that have broader application is typically what we look for. So over these 5 years, we have built this early stage portfolio. You will see our well-defined interest areas within technologies, health, industrial, enterprise, retail marketing, digital services more broadly. We are deeply involved in Africa. I'm born in Ethiopia, always played a role down there, started a number of companies in Africa, also for social impact reasons. And we created these platforms like Catapult, Antler. I've been involved in many of the venture startups in the Nordics. As you can see on this page, I very quickly just wanted to touch on a couple that might be of interest. One of them is the fact that we work very closely with the largest corporations here. Also based on my background, I am quite close to many of the CEOs in Norwegian business. And very often we invite companies here, we invite 10 startups, and they can get to know each other. And typically they get an hour. And this leads to collaboration. It leads to first projects. It leads to letter of intents, and in many cases it leads to investments. Like in this case, AF-gruppen and Entra came here to look at some prop tech companies, and AF-gruppen ended up investing in Spacemaker. This was 2017. They got into Spacemaker early. It's been a fantastic investment for AF-gruppen. As you know, Spacemaker is one of the most successful Norwegian venture companies. And it's a good example of the type of synergy that we try to create. With many of these companies, they're also family owned. I was on the board of Rema for 10 years with the Reitan family, a fantastic experience, hugely impressed. I'm currently on the board of Lærdal Medical, equally impressive company, and working closely with the family. And what we've done there is really interesting, because we have created an entity called Lærdal Million Lives Fund, which basically is a venture fund funded by the family that will invest into early stage technology companies to help Lærdal achieve its mission of helping to save 1 million lives every year. We have hired venture partners into the fund. It's funded by the family, $100 million, and it's purely focused on SDG 3, extending lives and saving lives. And when you calculate Lærdal's impact on SDG 3, is more than 10% of the overall UN objective. And I think it's pretty cool when a family takes on to actually massively impact the overall UN objective on SDG. What we also hear is that this type of ambition is resonating a lot with the family offices around Europe and Asia and the US. And we get incoming calls all the time from people who would like to invest into the fund because it's so SDG focused. And part of the future investing, I think, is going to be this type of focus on SDGs very specifically. Many families are also, together with us, invested into our accelerator, Catapult Accelerator, Social Impact Accelerator. We now actually are up to the 6th batch in Oslo. And very interesting for many people to be part of this, also as mentors and investors, and something I can highly recommend. And many family offices in Norway are also with us in building Antler globally, the talent incubator. And this is from our opening in Nairobi in February this year. And we are now to the 2nd batch in Nairobi. So there lots of opportunities to participate for family offices. I think it's very important to get into kind of tech startups. That's where you can get a lot of the social impact. You can influence the mindset and skill set in your company and in your portfolio companies. Family offices very often have the through cycle long-term mindset that is perfect for kind of transformation, where sometimes you have to invest today to get benefit tomorrow. And it's a perfect way to give back to society. So if anyone wants to stay in touch, very happy to have you reach out, and I wish you all the best for the rest of the day.